कला प्रदर्शिनी 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 कला प्रदर्शिनी
ततुम 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 ततुम
कला प्रदर्शिनी.
Namaskar and good evening to all our viewers and welcome back to the Earth series. Today we have a very special personality again with us. Chennai is known for its music and dance festival conducted every year for the last several decades. The Sabhas or organizations are the proponents of such fine arts in Chennai, and it's become an international affair in the last few decades again. The Sabha secretaries are revered personalities because the level of dedication, perseverance, and upliftment that they give artists, be it young or seasoned. Today, we have the secretary of the Federation of the City Sabhas of Chennai, as well as an eminent legal advocate who runs his own practice, and it's none other than Shri K.Harishankar. Mr. Harishankar finished his bachelor's degree in law from the Dr. Ambedkar Government Law College and went on to pursue his master's from the Northwestern University School of Law, Chicago. Upon his return to India, after working in the US for a couple of years, he joined the chambers of Mr. R. Krishnamurthy, Senior Advocate, and in the chambers of Mr. R. Krishnaswamy, Senior Advocate, and thereafter went on to become a partner with Sridevan and Krishnaswamy, Chennai, in the year 1999 and continued to be so until 2005. Presently, he is the founding partner of the law firm HSB Partners, Chennai. He has a lot of experience in the field of media and entertainment and in commercial arbitrations involving building and engineering contracts, as well as intellectual property rights. He has been the secretary of Nardagana Sabha, Chennai since 2015, and prior to that has been on their governing body for over 15 years. He is a keen fitness enthusiast and is also a part of the core committee of the Chennai Runners Club that organizes the Chennai Marathon, and himself has competed in 8 full marathons and several other running events all over India and abroad. Apart from long-distance running, his hobbies include listening to music and cricket, and he has also learned classical Carnatic music from Sangeeta Kalanidhi, Sri D.K. Jairam. We are very honored to welcome you, sir, for our discussion today.
Thank you. Good evening to everybody. Thanks for having me with you. So it's a great honor to be called by Parvathi ji and asked to join this evening for a chat. I've seen the list of eminent people who have been with you. I don't know if I measure up to any of them, but I'll just try to keep the audience entertained. And as I said, it's more an informal chat, and it's very happy to be with Parvati ji and Ravi along with you in this program. So thanks for having me.
No, we really thank you, Hari, for being with us today. And before we begin, I remember your father, Sri Krishnaswamy sir, who encouraged many, many artists, including me. And all my dance ballets were presented in Nardagana Sabha right from Aruladu in 90s. And till now, you are also encouraging all of us. Thank you so much. And how do you manage between your legal profession and your role as Secretary of Federation of City Sabhas and Secretary of Nardagana Sabha?
It's interesting that many Sabha secretaries or patrons of arts have been lawyers, not just now. It's been there from the early 1900s onwards. So the list is endless. Even in recent times, if you see, you have, Krishna Sabha Yajnaraman sir was also, a lawyer by qualification, though he did not practice for a long time. So he took up, managing the Sabha as his main passion. So he stopped practicing and took up the management of the Sabha completely. So also my father was also a lawyer and he had a successful practice. So this is not something that I am doing for the first time. There have been many illustrious seniors who have done it, shown us the way. And also the fact that a lawyer gets to interact more with people and be in the public domain and also know about various things that go in making arts and programs successful. And therefore the lawyers have been pioneers in so far as starting institutions, and especially in the 1950s, when most of the today's prominent sabhas were started. That was a time when the lawyers were pioneers in almost every sabha. For instance, if you take Mylapore Fine Arts Club, they had Mr. K.J. Chandran. He was also a lawyer. And similarly, there were lawyers who were also artists. If you take theater, Tamil drama, you had, Cho, of course. Cho was also a lawyer by qualification. And then, you have several others like Venirade Murthy, and then Umayalapuram Shivaraman sir, and then T.V. Shankar Narayanan. So there are, as I said, the list goes on. Lawyers and art, I think it goes hand in hand.
So I think to manage a very stressful profession, you definitely need something like the arts to, balance the right brain versus the left brain kind of a thing.
True. See, in fact, the way the December season originated earlier, it used to coincide with the High Court vacations, which were there during Christmas. The court Christmas vacations were common because the English judges had to return back home. They used to go twice in a year, one during the Christmas vacation and once during the summer holidays. And incidentally, our Margari season happens around the Christmas vacations. So, it was more a kind of a place where all the lawyers could relax and enjoy the arts. And that's how, the season itself started growing. So, yeah, it's been there in the city for a long time. And, from 1928, 29 onwards, the season has been going on uninterrupted, even during the World War times. So, that's how long it is. And for all this time, lawyers have been associated with it.
So many people are affected during COVID, especially artists. No income, no program, no classes. Such a difficult situation. Actually, we are all very depressed, I should say. Almost, I think, every musicians or dancers or folk artists, and through Abide. Roja Kannan is our president, and Priya Murli, Janaki. We are all one committee members. We try to raise the funds and distribute it to nearly 400 artists. So it's still the artists need so much of help. And when will the situation, get over?
No, when, I can't answer that. I'm also, keeping my fingers crossed and hoping that, we are going to have a vaccine soon, or a medicine that works very soon, so that, people can go out without fear and continue, whatever profession or other avocation they have. But it's a great effort that has come. Whenever there is an adversity like this, it's a time for people to come together and show what they are capable of. And that's why the human race is always, though we say survival of the fittest, it means coming together and people trying to fight every adversity, and every adversity brings out the best in a person. So in that regard, what Abhay has done is something phenomenal. You people have gotten together, you have tried to support the artists and more the technicians and other people who are in the grassroots level. Um, uh, if you have a dance performance, you have if it's a ballet, then you will have so many other things, support that you need from various technicians. So to support them, those people are really hard hit by this, because for the initial 3 months, there was absolutely no movement for them. They could not go out, they could not do anything to earn their livelihood. So when people's livelihood is affected, to come up with any form of help for them, I think that's one of the greatest things to do, and hats off to Abhay for that. Similarly, I know that the Global Carnatic Musicians Association, they also did it insofar as the Carnatic musicians are concerned. Um, but my only thing is this, uh, should not stop with this COVID times alone. There has to be some system that is evolved by the artists associations like Abai or the Carnatic Musicians Association to try and support the indigent artists during all times, not just during times of this necessity. If I may draw a parallel, if you see the Board of Control for Cricket, they, of course, the kind of revenues they've had has been phenomenal. But over the years, they have been able to provide monthly pensions and stipends for young cricketers, and the pensions for the retired cricketers. And from the 2000s onwards, they have been doing that. And almost every cricketer who has played, say, up to a Ranji Trophy level, is able to get a pension from the state associations. So similarly, I think it is our duty, the artists associations and the Federation of Sabas, to try and come up with some way by which we can continuously support artists at all times of their need.
So,
So that is something that we have to do.
so this brings me to one of the questions that we had for you. Looking at artists in the West, while India apes the West, we need to try and learn the good aspects from them. For artists, there are several associations, like you're mentioning, that have a structured role. So in India, the artists industry is a very unorganized industry. To an extent where several years ago, again, when my mother, she was a part of the Abai core committee, we wanted LIC or one of the insurance companies to specifically insure, say, a dancer, for example, or if it's a musician, maybe his voice, like how they do in the West. But none of the insurance companies had even thought of artists as a profession. So in today's world, that is the level where artists are treated. And it's probably only in cities like Chennai, maybe to some extent now it's picking up in Bangalore, maybe some Calcutta, a few other cities. But when you say artist, they ask you what's your full-time job.
Right.
People are not able to understand that being an artist itself is a full-time job.
Is a profession by itself. Yeah.
Exactly. So when we're trying to draw parallels, India probably needs a uniform body like the BCCI to say, okay, these are you do have multiple different types of gradation. You have the ICCR grading, you have the Doordarshan grading, then you suddenly have Sangeet Natak Academy gradings, but none of it is unified. So is there a chance from a legal perspective to unify all this, to come up with a unified grading system for different art forms? You can't compare Bharatanatyam to a folk art, you can't compare Carnatic to Hindustani, but some sort of a level setting. At least this is a time where everything is level set. Everybody is in the same boat with COVID.
Yeah. No, certainly, once you talk about organizations playing a role, the associations playing a role, the first thing for every artist association would be to kind of create a, system whereby they can grade amongst themselves. Earlier, until the early 90s, the All India Radio and Doordarshan system of grading worked fine. But today, there are so many more people, who are talented, who come and get into this profession. So unless and until there is some kind of grading system, and then there is some kind of system by which you reward the people. It's not a system by which you segregate people, but it's more, uh, you'll have to look at it as a positive. People will first have to learn that this grading system is going to get them something. So unless that confidence people have in that, they will not accept to abide by any grading system. So, for that, the organizations and the artist associations will have to work together, to try and set up communication whereby the grading system of recognized associations, say, for example, like Abai, are going to be recognized by the Sabhas also. So, in that, there has to be a lot of things. So, once the organizations that are involved in spreading art and culture are united in this, that's when you can have a better bargaining power with, say, like a life insurance corporation or any company, to try and bring out innovative things which would help artists. As you said, people insure their voices in abroad. So here it's unheard of. Such an insurance is not available. So how do you do that? So unless and until the insurance company knows that there is a certain thing that goes behind voice culture and this thing, they won't be able to assess the risk. Unless that risk is assessed, they cannot insure it. So that is where it all comes from. So if they know that a particular person is a member of, say, Abai, and therefore he or she is able to have a particular system of grading, and this is a person in this grade performed so many times this year, and therefore they will know what kind of effort their body will take, what is their level of practice and what is their level of expertise in the field. So with that, people can get insurance and all these things for artists separately. For Bharatanatyam dancers, you can have a separate insurance category which can happen. But as I said, this takes a lot of collaboration between the artists associations and the sabhas and other organizations, or even television channels. All these media platforms will have to come together and try and recognize the role of these associations. Only then there will be benefit for all.
That's very insightful, sir. Thank you so much for that.
Have you have learned Carnatic music? Have you done kacheris?
I didn't perform by myself, no. Of course, D.K. Jaraman Saroda, I have sang like 2 kacheris, Pinba Tokanda, I have supported on vocal support. That's about it. Earlier, he lives right across from our house. So I started learning when I was about 5 years old. And at that point in time, the music classes used to encroach upon my time when I play cricket outside in the street. So I used to hate to go to music classes when I was younger. Of course, by the time I grew up, I started to enjoy it, and once I started to appreciate it more, then the interest grew. And then you have, being from a family where art takes precedence. I have been surrounded by musicians and dancers all throughout my childhood. So that sort of created the interest in music. And now I'm only confined to listening, not to performing. As an organizer, I enjoy the concerts of others rather than wanting to perform on my own.
How is this December season going to be? Is there
Yeah,
going to
so
be?
recently we have come forward with Federation has announced there are 8 permanent member sabhas, and then a few other organizations are also joining us, and we are going to do it on a online platform. Our talks with various digital platforms are ongoing now to see how we can accommodate all the programs, whether it will be live or whether it is going to be what they call as a premiered program. All of these technical details are being worked out. We are planning to have it from about 18th of December till 1st of January. So it will be about 14 days of programs. Um, every day there will be two programs maximum. We are trying to also see that we want to accommodate more dance programs also into it, and this is the first time that all sabhas are coming together and organizing a season in December. Otherwise, each of us have our own festivals happening in each sabha. In Chennai, you will have at least about 20 locations where Carnatic music and Bharatanatyam dances are happening in Margari, in the Tamil month of Margari. But this time we are trying to, COVID has forced us to reinvent, and we are forced to take it to the online platform. Certainly, online cannot be a replacement for live performances. Live performances in the auditorium is a totally different experience. We cannot replicate that experience in these online programs, but we are trying to present something that will be unique for the art lovers, so that they will be willing to watch these concerts online.
More of
um,
dance,
I, yeah.
less of music, or more of music and less of dance.
uh,
We get audience
it,
more music than dance.
I know, but if it has to be a complete art festival, we need to have all performing arts. So we will have dances also. Dances. The only concern is how far we will be able to host dance ballets is something that is doubtful, because with social distancing norms and all these things, that is still going to be in place, and the safety of artists wherever we record or do the productions, we'll have to ensure about the safety of the performers, the artists and the musicians. So that's going to be the major concern when we do this. We don't think, even though the lockdown may be lifted, the relaxations may be in place, uh, even if it is going to be allowed to conduct programs in auditoriums, how far audience will be having the confidence to return to closed auditoriums, air conditioned auditoriums, that we don't know. And moreover, the economy itself has taken a big beating, with about 3 4 months of no business activity going on. Many sponsors are very skeptical, and they don't want to sponsor in art and cultural programs now, because right now they are concerned more about their employees and how they are going to pay their salaries. So when that is itself a question for them to you know agree to sponsor programs will be difficult. So that's the reason why we've all decided to come together, and even if there is going to be a relaxation and auditorium programs are going to be allowed, we have decided that we will do it online only this year, and that way at least the tradition of so many years is continued, and it's not stopped. So let's see, keeping fingers crossed. And yeah, we will have both dance as well as music programs. That's the Carnatic music programs. That's what the plan is for now. And maybe in a week or so, we will have all the other technical details tied up. And once that is done, we will be able to announce the programs and all that.
See, actually, we dancers, apart from your big organizations, we dancers, I have been organizing shows past 23, 24 years. And now how to go about is also my own idea how to go about. Like Kala Pradeshni, we have Natya festival every year. So I've been thinking whether to go online or postpone it. Many dancers, even from Bangalore and from Chennai, few dancers,
Yeah,
we have our own festival.
correct. No, many artists across, not just Bharatanatyam artists, but also other art forms, people have been organizing festivals in December. So they are all concerned on how to do it. See, one important aspect is when more programs are there, lot of artists who are dependent on this, they, for their livelihood, they are able to earn their living. So for that, programs will have to be conducted. Insofar as what the federation is doing, our main aim is to see that we raise a corpus to have some kind of um, a pension scheme or something in place for artists across, Carnatic music, dance, and Tamil theatre artists, so that they can benefit from whatever the entire money that is going to be generated by way of revenue in these programs. These are going to be ticketed programs. It's not going to be free programs. So the entire revenue generated in these programs, we are planning to give it up and create a artist welfare fund so that they will be benefited from this. So it gives us an opportunity coming together, as I said, gives us an opportunity to organize it on a large scale. So let's see how it goes. And insofar as artists, conducting their own festivals, also, I think many of them are now doing online programs. Um, as I said, it's never a replacement for, as a Rasika, it is not a replacement for live programs. And, your own dance drama, the color and the splendor that you bring about on stage, when we see that, we are in awe of these programs. So that factor, the wow factor, is not there when you watch it on TV or on any today, when you put it up on YouTube or Vimeo or any platform, you are able to watch it in your mobile phone. But certainly, it's not to the same level of satisfaction that Rasika will derive. So,
One, sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
subject to that, people will have to adapt. There has to be some amount of adaptation. But I think you artists are also great innovators. So you will come up with something, and you will try to see how you can recreate the magic of stage on screen. So the responsibility is yours.
So one of the things that we were discussing as a part of brainstorming is the concern of privacy, data privacy, intellectual property rights. Intellectual property rights, from an artist perspective, it's at a very nascent level. Not many artists are even considering, like, filing like a IPR for their productions, like even our productions and stuff. Which is one of the concerns, where we do not want to put the entire production as it is on YouTube, for example. We can put bits and pieces of it, because now with today's technology, you upload something on YouTube, you can take it out, remaster, re-digitalize it, like a whole new recording. With those kind of concerns, do you see like how artists can use the IPR to protect themselves? Because every production, the cost involved is huge. I mean, we did a production called Chakra with 4 different music directors, and it's a very beautiful production. But we are really concerned whether can we just upload it on YouTube. One is, how do you monetize it? Two is, how do we protect the data that we've created? Everything is custom written, custom music directed, and stuff like that. So from a dance perspective, it may not be as appealing to see it, say, on YouTube, but at least the music is really good. How can artists protect themselves from what they create? in India?
First thing is every artist, as you said sometime earlier, that artists are today, that's a profession by itself. So anybody who is in the profession of performing arts has to have some basic knowledge about intellectual property rights. What are the rights that they create? Every program or every composition they do has a unique copyright in itself. So that copyright gets created irrespective of your registering it or not. The moment you publish a work, when Parvathi Ravi Ghantasala gets on stage and does a performance of her own choreography, then there is a copyright that she has in it. It is created the moment it is published. So the moment a person performs, that copyright is created. Copyright does not require any registration or anything. It's not mandatory in law to register a copyright. So once that copyright is created, then the important aspect is about enforcement of the copyright. Policing the copyright and enforcing that is going to be a difficult thing. Because an artist earlier, if they perform, say, if they are a performer from Chennai, they wouldn't know if somebody, copied their choreography or their style or whatever they did verbatim and did the performance, say, even in Sri Lanka or in Malaysia or Singapore. You wouldn't know that. Today, in YouTube and all these, through all these technology, you are able to see what is going on worldwide. And a copyright can be protected from the place where the creator is. You need not go to the place where the person who has copied it is to sue them. If you want to sue on a copyright, you can sue it from the place where you are. A copyright is effective only to the extent to which the creator is willing to enforce that right. So if you do not enforce your right, there is no point guarding it. Of course, there is this whole concept of whether this copyright is required in the context of Indian art forms. Our forefathers never were bothered about this, because the way that art was created, as opposed to what is done abroad in Western music or in Western theater, English theater, and all that. Here, we drew satisfaction from just the creation, and that itself used to be the incentive for the creators to create more. You take any Vagayakara or like Tyagaraja, the Mummurti, they performed for their own satisfaction and they did not perform to create something. They were not in the business of creation of anything. And any art or performance, if their Sishyas took it and they spread it far and wide, they used to be happy about it. They never said that, this is a copy of mine, and therefore, that's why, we are more in the copying is the best form of flattery that you can have. If somebody copies your work, that much more they appreciate it. The only thing you be then concerned about is it should be a good copy and not a piracy. It's not a very bad copy, so that it reduces your level of preparation and what you have done. What you have effort you have put into that art should not be diluted. So that is how copyright has to be viewed. In my opinion, artists should not bother about their work being copied at all. But that said, there are musicians who are part of it, who are saying that music is downloaded from the net and then it is used for dance performances. That has to be enforced. People will have to take proactive action to see that all these things are put down. For instance, if you take YouTube alone, they have a system of how you put strikes on programs that are uploaded on YouTube. So if the moment you see a dance form that is similar to yours, or some choreography that has been copied, or your music has been plagiarized, then you will have to take it up, and you will have to they say what you have to do is you have to put a strike on YouTube for that other thing, saying that this was my performance which I had uploaded in YouTube, and that is now being pirated. So that kind of enforcement has to be there, for which unless and until artists themselves know what their rights are, they won't be able to enforce it.
So this basic information should be passed down as a formal training to different artists in that case, which currently everything is happening through
I'm not
informal
able
way.
to hear you, Ravi. I lost
Oh,
your audio.
can you hear us now, sir? Hello?
No.
Hello? Hello? I think we can hear you, sir. Can you hear us?
Can't hear.
Could you continue talking, sir?
I don't hear. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. No.
You can't hear us? Sir?
Is there a way I can log off and log in again, or?
Yes, sir. Could you just log off and come back? I'll add you back. We apologize for the technical difficulties. We're just going to try something else here. Hello? So can you hear us now? Hello? Can you hear us now?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, great. Oops. Now we again lost our guest today. So please give us a couple of minutes. We have some few other questions to discuss. In the meanwhile, if the audience has any questions, we are looking at different streams. We are looking at YouTube and Facebook for any questions. Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, perfect, sir.
Back up.
Wonderful. So yeah, so thank you so much for that insightful information. I think that information that you said should go down to artists as a formal way, maybe through the academics or as gurus. There should be like associations that you mentioned should send out like notifications that these are your rights. This is how you can protect yourself. And I think YouTube makes it really easy. I think no song can be copied for more than 2 minutes or something like that. So ultimately, it's on the artists if they want to protect themselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we need to be proactive to take measures to protect our rights.
So one other thing that I've been noticing growing up as a child, obviously I grew up in Chennai, so music and dance festivals were a part of my life as well. But invariably, you happen to notice that there's a lot more of music lovers, music connoisseurs compared to dance. Is that systemic, or is that how it was constructed? Because if both are equal, why is there it's not balanced? The balance weighs more on music than on dance. Even from a sponsorship perspective, sponsors prefer music. And the first question that we used to get asked was, "Who's your list?" And if we show a bigger list of musicians, the sponsorship is higher compared to if you show an equal number of dancers. There was a difference. What's your thought on that?
I think it's just the evolution of the art forms that has led to it. If you take, the early part of history of dance, it was more confined to temples and, the courts of kings, and that's where dance was mainly performed. And therefore, it in a sense, it was some kind of an elitist thing. So, people didn't, until the Sabha started in the 50s, dance as a performing art on stage was not that prevalent. And even after it started, so the history of dance as a performing art on stage is fairly recent compared to Carnatic music. And I would assume that that's probably one of the reasons why dance programs don't draw that much sponsorship. And then there is also this other thing about the crowds that dance programs draw. So, as a Sabha secretary, I can tell you that the audience that come to dance is lesser than the audience that come for a Carnatic music concert. Of course, this is more during the season. We are comparing the audience turnout during the music season. So, and the music season in December, all programs have a certain amount of crowd because there is this floating population in the city, a lot of people coming from outside. So everywhere for programs there is some amount of crowd, at least a basic minimum amount of crowd. Still, the crowd for dance programs is lesser compared to what it is for the Carnatic music concerts. It's more only due to people's knowledge of the art forms, and that whether they are able to appreciate it or not. Many people don't learn to appreciate dance. The appreciation of dance itself is an art by itself. So you have to create the platform for that. In so far as Nadagan Sabha is concerned, through Natya Rangam, that has been our main idea, to see that people learn to appreciate dance in the way it has to be. And I'm very happy to say that that has yielded a lot of results. We see, with thematic performances and new innovative concepts being brought in by dancers in their dance ballets, and so many new themes being produced as dance ballets. The crowd for dance has certainly increased. So once the crowd increases, then the interest of sponsors also becomes, grows. So that it's a gradual thing. And since dance is of a more recent origin on stage than Carnatic music, probably there was this lag in time behind. But now all sabhas host dance programs. You can see the number of students who are learning dance. So as these people grow, and they become dancers either themselves, and they also learn to appreciate the art form better, the crowd for dance will certainly grow, and it is on the upward trend. As I said, we started Natya Rangam around 25 years back, and from then on till today, we have seen a steady increase in the crowd for dance programs. Only thing is, you need to package it in a way that is attractive to people. When you do a particular dance program in a thematic program, it could be on either the any of the scriptures, a Ramayanam or a Mahabharatam or whatever you do. When you take a topic and present it well, people surely appreciate that, and they come for it. And after seeing ballets of yours and sing, you will have more people interested in putting their children in
Yes.
dance classes.
So that's what
So it's a
dance.
cycle. It will increase. It
We
keeps
dance
increasing.
lots of students because they get opportunity, and we showcase their talent through dance ballets, and that's how we are doing. We get audience.
Yeah, so that's why, as a Sabha organizer, dance ballets are more attractive to us because we have a good crowd. One, the number of people performing are also more, and obviously there are a lot more people who are interested to view, to see when it's a dance ballet, and it's uh, therefore it helps if all these kind of programs, keep increasing, the thematic programs, and there has to be more thought put into it, not just any topic, but people will have to put some thought into it and create innovative programs.
So we have dance productions which are recorded.
Mhm.
so we can perform in few other various stages.
Yeah, the
With all
music is recorded. Yeah,
very tough. For solo, it is very good, but dance production has to be recorded and
yeah,
we
yeah.
very good opportunities.
Yeah, certainly. Some of your own ballets, we have seen, the recording, and also the kind of, images that you produce on stage. Even the title that we had in the song that played in the opening for this program, we could see so much color. We are waiting for all that to come back again soon. To be on stage and see all that. And
And
music is a very important part. The composing of music for dance ballets is a very important part of it. And
yes,
people like Rajkumar Bharati have all contributed a lot
Kunnakudi,
to it. Yeah,
Elvaidi,
Kunukudi Vaidyanathan sir first started it, and as long as he was there, he has composed for both for you and for Krishna Kumari Akka. He has done a lot of music. Earlier, Justice Bhaktavatsalam used to write a lot of scripts for dance ballets. So, yeah, there has been some splendid work put in by a lot of you people. You have kind of set the benchmark. So, people will have to emulate it and carry it on.
yes.
So, continuing on this, we have another 15 minutes for a 1 hour bench.
Okay.
One of the questions that we are receiving is the North versus South, artists from the North versus artists in the South. There still seems to be like a glass ceiling for artists in the South to get opportunities in organizations in the North, while now slowly we are starting to see artists from the North come into the mainstream of South Indian festivals. Um, as an organizer, how do you see this? Is there any trend that you're seeing?
See, actually, I wouldn't say that the trend of North Indian artists coming here has increased. In fact, it has decreased. In 1983, Nardhagan Sabha celebrated its silver jubilee. And we had 25 days of programs. At that point, we used to conduct our programs in Music Academy Auditorium. So, we had 25 days of programs, of which about 10 programs were of Hindustani music and, dance forms of Odissi, Kathak, and all these things we had from the north coming and performing here. And at that time, we used to get crowds. Members used to be interested to go and watch Hindustani music programs or, dance ballets performed in other art forms, especially Odissi and Kathak were more popular here. But now, maybe it's because the number of Bharatanatyam artists have grown here so much. You don't even see that much Kuchipudi here now. In Chennai, we don't see even Kuchipudi performers being invited to perform in Sabas. It's only Bharatanatyam by and large that is happening here. And it's not just North. If you take even Mohiniyattam or Kathakali is not something that is very common in Sabas here. So, except tomorrow being Onam, I should say that earlier we used to have probably one Onam program where we used to have something connected with Travancore or the Malayalam art forms, which we used to perform. Otherwise, even South Indian artists performing here has become more of a rarity. Similarly, earlier, Pandit Jasraj, who recently passed away, he used to perform here. He used to have concerts here. Bhimsen Joshi used to have. We've had concerts of Hariprasad Chaurasia, Pandit Hariprasad Chaurasia, Shivkumar Sharma, accompanied by Pandit Ailaraka and all these people. Zakir Hussain, all these people have tell me the last time when they have performed in Chennai. I don't think in the last 2 years or 3 years they have all had any performance in Chennai. That's because as Sabas, we don't invite North Indian artists because the costs of having a North Indian artist are far more, and to that extent, we are not getting the crowds. In between, in the late 90s, we used to have crowds for ghazal performances, but even that is not there. We used to, even Hariharan has performed before performing in movies. He has performed ghazals in Chennai, and that used to draw crowds. But after a few programs, it was nothing. It was not innovative, so people stopped hosting such programs. So it's only a question of what the audience want. In so far as Chennai is concerned, it is out and out South Indian Carnatic music and Bharatanatyam. That is the main audience. The audience come only for that.
Our festivals are always in during December. There was a talk, why can't the Sabha split their festivals the whole year so the crowd can go and enjoy the programs? But in one place, in one month, all the Sabhas are having festivals. So it is so difficult for the audience also to move around.
And sponsorships too.
You yeah, so it's like the chicken and the egg. So whether the sponsorship comes first or the audience comes first is the question. uh, if you look at it, you have been performing here, apart from December and maybe till around Pongal time, mid Jan, the crowds are there for all these programs. Any other time of the year, even for the best of Carnatic musicians, we don't have a full house. Our auditorium has about 1200 capacity, but probably, if it's a free program, you may have about 700 people in the auditorium in the non-season time. But in December season, you will have a full house for the best concerts. And for every program, there will at least be 500 people that are there in the auditorium. So it's more the crowd factor. And the reason being, December is a time when a lot of people come to Chennai, visit Chennai. The weather in Chennai is good at that point in time, and people have holidays around the world. As I said, not just lawyers now. Everybody, schools are closed, educational institutions are closed. So people take off from work and they want to travel. People who come from outside also come to Chennai during that time. So that's the reason why everybody is doing programs in December. That's when they get the maximum audience. Obviously, artists also want to perform during that time because they know that they will have audience for their performance, and they will have audience who will appreciate their performance at that point in time, at that point of the year. So it's purely audience driven, and it's because the audience come during that time, and there is so much more activity surrounding the music season that is happening, that sponsors are also willing to sponsor during that time. They get more visibility when they have programs in December because the crowd is more.
No, it's a whole ecosystem that is created during the Margari season in Chennai,
Yes.
including
Yes.
the influx of foreigners.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of startup companies, like seasonal startup companies. I think there was recently a train that takes you from Sabah to Sabah, package fee kind of a thing, which also gives you the dinner. You start with morning and it takes you around. So it makes sense, definitely.
Yeah. So it's not wrong or anything. I don't want to put it in a negative. See, there were many sabhas which were not, even including ourselves, until we had our own auditorium in 1989, 1988. We inaugurated the auditorium. Until then, we never used to have a December season. And it's only after we had our own auditorium we started having a hosting December season. Because until then, we used to do programs in Music Academy had their own season going on in December, so there was no necessity. We used to do our programs, we used to have a mini season of music concerts alone in August every year. But doing concerts in August doesn't just draw the same crowds as it does in December.
It's
So
very nice to know that from an
yeah,
organizer perspective. Um, so we are nearing our 5 minute thing. So we'll have one last question for you. What is your advice as an organizer to an artist who is now coming up? What should they focus on given the current situation and the near future? Any advice from your perspective?
yeah, I don't know if I have that much expertise in any art form to advise, but as an organizer's perspective, certainly, hard work surely pays off. And if you are good in your art, just, you need to persist with it and perceive with whatever you are doing. And, try to be innovative in whatever you do. But for the sake of innovation, you should not do something that's, out of tradition, because this is a traditional art forms that we are dealing with have been there for so many hundreds of years, and it has been handed down to us. So within the confines of tradition, whatever innovation people can do, they need to. And certainly these COVID times have changed the way we look at everything in our daily life, including art. So a lot more people are now trying to sit back, relax, and also spend more time on, listening to music or dance and all these things. So I think youngsters will need to be more innovative, use technology, and be innovative to try and see how they can showcase their talent through various digital technology that is available to them today. So that is the key thing. People need to be innovators. You need to do things differently. You need to dare to do it differently, and also, you know, see that
And
more people are drawn to it.
yeah, youngsters are very, very smart and intelligent. I could see so many youngsters coming with different varieties and different types of innovations. They are really beautiful. I don't know.
Yeah, so now
These,
we are getting time to watch people on YouTube, on Facebook, and all these things, and so many people putting up small performances on online, and
yes,
many of them are coming with such brilliant ideas.
yes,
So that needs to be encouraged, and unless they themselves have that talent, you should first practice and perfect that, and then put it up and bring it out in an innovative way so that people can watch it and appreciate it.
yes.
So that will be great.
So one last audience question, and then I think we'll be done.
Mhm.
The question is. So the question is, there are some sabas who have free slots versus paid slots. Not all sabas are that way. What are your thoughts about that?
See, paying to perform is something that Nardhagan Sabha as an organization has been against for a long time. We don't, and we ensure that every performer is paid, and we don't appreciate people paying to perform. That kind of takes the spirit out of the art, and therefore, we should try to do it, and that can happen only again with the cooperation of artists also. They should put their foot down and say that they may not have a performance today, but they should just put their foot down and say that they are not going to pay to perform any form of payment that may be. So I think as a culture, we need to bring it in ourselves. We need to imbibe it in ourselves, saying that I'm not going to pay for performing. Today there are a lot more avenues. If you can put up your performance, you can make good productions, and put it up on television channels or OTT platforms, or even YouTube. All of these digital platforms are available, so it's all the more easier for us now to say that we will say no to any form of payment. insofar as sabhas are concerned, also we are trying to bring that and communicate it as much as possible to all the sabhas, that you should not accept payment for having or hosting any performance, be it music or dance. That should not happen. It kills the art and it encourages mediocrity. So that should go. Merit should have its place, and if merit has to have its place, people have to perform without payment, and they will have to be paid to perform.
Wonderful, sir. Thank you so much for a lot of insight. I hope our audience has got something to learn out of today's session. We've called it the Earth series because it adds meaning to what we are trying to do and spread the awareness, spread certain key messages to our audience. So thank you so much for all the insight that you
I
provided us.
thank you both again for having me, and it was so wonderful chatting with both of you. And it's great that in your time off during COVID, you've chosen to do this. And of course, Parvati ji has been with this for a long time, and she has been a part, very much part of the Chennai cultural scene, and therefore her hosting a program is not something that is new to us, but she is encouraging so many youngsters, and congratulations to both of you for successfully doing this during these times, to hope we can see people at least through these platforms, and rather than being locked down and getting bogged down. So I hope people get entertained by it, and even if there is a little bit of thought that is provoked, then good. I'll be happy. Thank you. Thanks for
Yes,
having me.
even next week, Saturday, Sunday, 8 p.m. Without fail. And
Yes.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Sir.
you. Thank you.